Right, but what does the Army run on the backs of? Non-commissioned officers.
Yeah, we
So I'll
are.
tell you a little story real quick.
Yeah.
So I was in Korea because I was in the Army,
Mhm.
and we were in an airborne, not excuse me, an aerial reconnaissance unit. So
Which way, left or
which
right?
meant we flew planes a few miles back from the DMZ every night. So either the U-2 spy plane is up or we're up.
They're still out of there, out of view.
Well, those ones were out of Osan Air Base, about 12 miles away. And so we were heavy with officers because we had warrant officers who are, for people that don't know, are enlisted people, generally speaking, who then become very proficient, and they're kind of the best of both worlds.
Subject matter experts.
Exactly. So we had a lot of warrant officers and then some regular, just regular O1s, O2, O3 lieutenants and captains. And so sometimes in the military, you get too many people for the unit that they're in, and sometimes you don't have enough people. It's never a perfect thing, right? When you're dealing with 1.2 million people.
I could switch over.
So, excuse me.
Or have a shortcut.
A friend of mine arrived there shortly after I did, and they didn't have a job for him. So I got to not fly, but be in the back seat of the airplanes. We flew every night, during my shifts, back and forth. I could see South Korea all lit up here, and over there, I could see North Korea just dark,
Almost dark, yeah.
all the way dark. You couldn't see anything. And so my friend Chris Slates, who now teaches math in a community college in Denver, he got there and they didn't have a job for him, so they made him the orderly guy. So after going through quite a bit of training, courtesy of our tax dollars, they didn't have a job for him, so they made him the person in charge of essentially the administrative area, right? So you're going to go on leave, your paperwork's got to go through Chris. We're going to order new stuff, the quartermaster, logistics, they bring it and it goes through Chris. The captain's boots need to be shined. Well, we're one step short of that, okay, but it goes through Chris. So one of our officers, not a warrant officer, but regular 01, 02, 03, came marching in one day just screaming at Chris, "Where's my paperwork? I got to go on leave, I got to go now." Because it was a big deal. Back then, Korea was the hardship station. Now it's, well, can I go to Korea instead of the other way? And so Chris said, I'm working on it. I'm going to get it for you, sir, as quick as I can. And the guy was just demanding. Finally, the guy left, and Chris took it and just stuck it right in the bottom of the pile. It runs on the backs of the NCOs.
Right.
So what, just in brief, so I know we're going to start here in a second, but what did, who was your officer that was ultimately responsible for that section, for the knowledge?
Well, that would have been at battalion and brigade level, and
Okay.
for that particular additional duty, I reported directly to them.
Okay. What do they say about this? What do they say? We're solving problems now.
Well,
What do they say about it?
They weren't all that good at using it either. It's just that it was a brand new process, and nobody had any idea how to properly utilize it. And so, since the training wasn't there, since the concept wasn't really promulgated throughout.
So is there work in them?
Yeah, here.
It
I'm
was,
gonna email them and say, hey.
I did.
Oh, did it?
I got a link. Right?
Because they said,
It was just not,
oh, good, thanks.
it wasn't utilized. Or I should say, it was utilized at the brigade level because, hey, it was their idea to implement.
Right. same. I'm not trying to tell you, oh, it's the same, you can do it. Nothing's going to be a substitute for live. So that's what we're starting to do. We've been practicing, doing some dry runs in the past couple meetings. We've learned a lot about technology. So Pernell and Jose have been spearheading this, and we're pretty excited about this. So we've had a couple that we've kind of done, and now we're really trying to get it going. So that's something that if we can get this ironed out here real quick, it'll offer up an opportunity. So, you know, if you're working El Dorado County, Placer County, can't make it down to a meeting in downtown, gives you another thing. And so our San Francisco Silicon Valley chapter of HDI, they're actually, some of them watching this because they're going to try and do it. Obviously, you know, San Francisco all the way from Marin County down to Silicon Valley, people down in Gilroy, that's pretty hard, especially to have lunchtime meetings. So they're going to see if they can use this same, what we're doing, and make educational opportunities available to more people, which is the mission of HDI, as formally stated to the IRS, just in case you ever want to know. We are an educational association, that's what the IRS classifies us as. So that's why every month we try and have a meeting. Some months we aren't able to, but we are. I guess I'll just be here since they're out talking. Does anybody have any questions, not knowledge management related, but anything else? Has anyone filled out their bracket for the March Madness and they're winning everything? Maybe someone's beat President Obama's picks. He put his picks out there. I haven't looked at them, but his are out there.
Okay, nobody has done any kind of brackets for hockey, so I have nothing to talk to anybody about.
No, there's people are interested in hockey here. I mean, there's a hockey team less than an hour away. See right there next to you. Dwight is interested in hockey. Anybody watch the Olympics? Watch any of the hockey?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was hard to actually get it on TV though if you have Dish Network. The actual game at the time that it was playing.
I'm in a room of people in tech industry. Did anyone VPN to Canada and watch it free on Canadian TV like I did with my kids every weekend?
I would have if I had the time.
2 years ago in England, you could VPN into, say that you're coming from England. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not breaking any law. You're just going in and then watch the BBC aired every minute of every sport.
Oh, good Lord.
And Canada did the same. So in other words, you would stare at the luge track for like minutes and there'd be nothing going on. And once in a while you would hear them talk when they didn't know they were being broadcast. You know, so that was kind of fun too. Nothing inappropriate. It's just things like, okay, well, why don't you get him to bring us a sandwich or something? We're going to be here for like 10 hours, eh? That was my try there. Okay, so yeah, excellent. All right, I'm going to step out here.
It's like, give me a beer, eh?
Are you ready?
Oh, I was just filling time while you guys were
Time, yeah.
Death to
Okay,
time.
I guess it's time, huh? So Brandon, I'm sure, got to know you guys a little bit. Brandon has been part of HDI. Well, let me back up. My name's Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Hi. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. I know some of you live farther away and work farther away, and some of you are already on campus, but I appreciate you guys coming. Brandon has wonderful information to share with us today, but if you don't know Brandon, he's like, no, he doesn't. If you don't know Brandon, he is IT professional, has been for many years, but it has been part of HDI, former president of HDI, and now runs all of our social media. Yes?
With some help from Jose and Pernell in the back and countless other people who we try to put things. If you're a Facebook user, we try to put a little on Facebook. If you're a LinkedIn user, put a little on LinkedIn. If you're a Twitter user, we just won't do anything to it.
All right, so backing up even more, then what is HDI?
So HDI, we are a local chapter here in Sacramento, but there are multiple local chapters and branches, a nonprofit networking organization throughout the United States. There is a main, the corporate type of location in Colorado Springs. And
Just
what,
came from
it's a nice place
Or
to be.
Carson.
But basically what we do is we like to connect IT professionals for networking. We focus on educating the community on hot IT topics, and really what this is about is we can learn new information, share information between each other, hopefully make some great networking contacts, and possibly get some help in our everyday jobs. Yes, ma'am. Wow, isn't that the infamous question? So they wouldn't want me to tell you, but many years ago it used to stand for the Help Desk Institute. But what they've done over the years is they've realized that a lot of IT professionals do more than just help desk, right? So we are now, again, an information technology, information networking group. So it's just HDI. At this point, it really doesn't stand for anything, but what we are is, an IT community that really loves to share and learn new information. So Sacramento HDI is a very great chapter. Me personally, I've been part of it for a few years now. There's a lot of great things that go on throughout the year. We are one of the only chapters that actually has monthly meetings. We have a wonderful board of officers. It doesn't just take a couple people to make these meetings happen. Along with that, our big event. Jesse, I think you have a flyer for our big event on your desk, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So our big event, which is on May 15th, well, it's in May of every year, but May 15th of 2014, we have an all-day conference, IT conference. We're going to have over 9 speakers, IT professionals. There is a fee to go to the conference, and it ranges for students, members, and non-members. So raise your hand if you're a member of HDI. Okay, very good, very good. About 50%. Did you raise your hand? Okay, just making sure. I'm like, you're Lord, you better. So if you're a member, it's $39. If you're a non-member, it's $49. If you're a student, it's $29. It's full day. You get wonderful information. Over 150 people are there. We're shooting for a lot more this year. You will get fed. There's always good food and wonderful, again, speakers and information, but networking opportunities. We have folks that are part of our board from all over the Sacramento area and beyond, from places like Blue Shield and the County of Sacramento and UC Davis and PG&E and missing Adventist Health, and I can go on and on and on. So again, a great way to network with each other. What does their help desk do? What is their, what are their ideas about service management? All of these things. So anyhow, Brandon is going to be talking about knowledge management. If you've ever interacted with Brandon, he's very, he's a character. Let's put it that way. But it's great. Keeps you engaged. So I appreciate you guys coming out today. If you would like information about membership, I'll have some stuff there on the table. I really encourage all of you to come out to our one-day event. It's going to be fun. You always get little fun things. You have giveaways and all of that. But again, a great place to learn new IT topics, okay? So let's give a round of applause for Mr. Brandon Cox.
Thank you, Monica. I was trying to get Leslie to come in. He wasn't sure if he was going to come in or not. So, hello again, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Brandon.
So this Knowledge is the New Black is a presentation I'm actually giving next Friday at the National Conference in Orlando. So if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. I'm very easy to get hold of, so I'm right here. So if you want to say hi, I can just say, hey, Brandon, I got some feedback. It's really easy. Also, all my contact information is on here as well. Yes, we're already some feedback. This is good. Yes.
Could you use this as a plant in the audience?
Yes.
And you'll give me money?
Yes, I'll be there. Yes. I have federal stimulus dollars. I can give you.
If you want a question.
Definitely.
Wait a minute. Hey, I thought the TARP fund was already used.
So this Knowledge is the New Black. There are no orange jumpsuits involved in this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should cancel your cable and get Netflix. So we're going to talk about knowledge management and knowledge-centered support, everything in the knowledge industry, and this is like 40 hours of workshops boiled down to about 60 minutes, okay? So I kind of go at a high clip, but give you enough of the different parts that hopefully you'll be able to take that with you and go even further. If you're just starting out with knowledge, great. If you're midway through it or you're an expert, it'll help you give you some more things. So the first thing is, why should you listen to me? Why am I qualified to be up here and talking about this? That's a very good question. So as Monica alluded to, I've been in the IT industry for a long time. So post-military, we were having a good discussion about the Army over here earlier, James and I. Post-military, I worked at Delta Dental, California. I was the service desk manager there for 12 years, including doing problem management. And if you're an ITIL person, really trying to get down to root cause for a few years, as well as knowledge management. And so I did a lot of things wrong. I'm just going to tell you right away, because I didn't have the resources and I didn't have the knowledge about what we were trying to do. For the last 2 years, I've worked for a very tiny company, consulting, in which we consulted a lot of Fortune 500 companies implementing knowledge tools. So James had a question earlier about, am I going to be talking about SharePoint? Okay, there, we're done talking about SharePoint, so that's my feelings on it.
I agree.
Thank you. We're going to talk more about the knowledge processes and how that can help us. So there's just kind of a little bit about me, and if you're interested, there is an article that's going to come out in the next Support World magazine. So if you're a member of HDI, you automatically get Support World. Now it's digital and it shows up in your inbox. Because it's digital, no longer paper, they told me I could write as long as I wanted. So there's a good sized article in Support World that's coming out the next episode, or next edition, excuse me. Here I'm thinking of doing video. And it's got some links in there, but I'm going to give you everything as well here, okay? So what we're going to talk about today, I kind of peppered these with pictures from my trip to Europe. I just had to show somebody, so I thought you guys might as well see it. And this is, actually, if you're interested, this is the Gothic Quarter in Barcelona, España. And so it's just like a 2,000-year-old road that's been redone numerous times by the Romans, then the Moors, then the Spanish, and now for tourists. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get through as much as we can, literally in an hour. At 6:30, I want to be done. Okay, everyone has to go. One time for questions. So we're going to talk about what knowledge is, the basics of it, the basics of knowledge-centered support. So really quick, who here, by show of hands, we're not going to do the applause thing. Well, we'll do it sometimes just in case people are wandering by and they want to come in and think, oh, this is a motivational speaker or this is funny or something. Who here has heard of the actual term knowledge-centered support? So by show of hands, like you got to raise your hand above your head. Like this is not like you're like, I don't know, maybe I have. Okay, this is okay. So about half of us, great, thank you. We're going to talk about it. It's celebrating 22 years this year. So it's been around probably the bulk of our IT careers. I'm just going to go out on a limb. You know, some of us that are turning like 39 this year, you know, it's been around our whole careers. We're going to talk a little bit about gamification and how to make it fun. Because honestly, when things are more fun, people tend to do them. If there's some type of prize there, whether it's physical prize or not, people tend to do them. We're talking about social media, maybe. Who here does some type of technical support? Okay, who here does something else in IT or IS?
I do.
Who here is a student? Who here has not raised their hand? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure. I know what you all do. You all help us get the right people in the right seats on the bus. Am I right?
Right.
All right. Okay. Hashtag am I right? All right. So in your roles in technology, how many of you have customers that use social media to try and get hold of you for support? In other words, how many people are actually tweeting, I can't stand the UC Davis servers because of this, all right? Or how many people are posting on a county Facebook page, I can't believe they rolled this out last night. Is anybody?
Believe it or not, Direct Technology is utilizing social media as a launch platform, and then also as kind of like what you were talking about, where it's a feedback system through social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and a couple others.
Awesome. And that's who you work for?
Yeah.
And who is it again?
Direct Technology.
Direct Technology. Okay. Because we only have one, I'm going to go very briefly on that spot. And me and you can talk as much as you want afterwards for some ideas there. Just I try and pace it to however we are, right? Spend more time where we need it. Self-service. And then who here has seen Wolf of Wall Street? All right, in addition to canceling your cable and getting Netflix and watching Orange is the New Black, you should go see it. It's a very gritty movie. I'm just going to tell you, it's not Disney. All right, but in it, Matthew McConaughey, you know, after he does that, he actually says, look, this is not a tip. This is a prescription. So I'm only giving you stuff that I think really, really works. Nothing like, oh, well, in theory you could do this, but the things that, okay, these are important things, and all the slides are available to you afterwards. You just go to my site and you can download them. So you don't have to worry about writing it down if you don't want to. And questions, just take questions at any time. Try and keep them kind of topical, all right? I can't answer hockey questions, but I know James can. So let's try to keep them within the genre that we're at, okay? So real quick, what is knowledge? Here's some dictionary definitions about knowledge. We were actually talking about this before. Knowledge, knowledge management, knowledge center support. We're going to be talking a lot about the processes today. And I'm not going to tell you, oh, you should go buy this tool because it's going to solve all your woes. Because a fool with a tool is still a fool. Exactly, all right? Now, my apologies to anyone who was, is, or plans to be a software vendor, but I'm just going to offend you right now and say, tools don't solve the problems. You got to have the processes. Okay, here's some more about knowledge. We're going to zoom in on this part here, okay, the objective parts. We're not going to be talking a lot about the troubleshooting process in general, but rather how you would troubleshoot a specific item and resolve that step by step, okay? The process is to get to there, all right? So we're going to be talking about this. All right, let's play a little game. And if you have done this in another session, I changed it up a little bit. That way you can't have preloaded your questions. So everyone either needs paper and pencil or a smartphone, okay, to write it down. And what we're going to do is we're going to write down as many countries of the world. I kind of gave you a little hint here, okay, so you can see countries. South America is not a country. I just want to put that out there. Okay, Texas is not a country. We're looking for real countries like, hey, Canada, as we were talking about earlier, all right? And we do 30 seconds. No Googling. I can't bring myself to say no Binging because it just sounds like HR is going to show up. All right? But don't look it up. Just write down as many as you can. I mean, I already gave you one, Canada, and I hope you're getting the one we live in too. I'm not going to say it aloud just in case it's a test for anybody. All right? But let's go ahead. Let's take 30 seconds right now and see who can write down the most of these. If there was Jeopardy music now, you would hear it, you know? And you cannot win the free cruise to Alaska that Monica's giving away if you don't write down at least a few.
That'd be nice.
And we'll just take about 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, pencils down and fingers off of the tapping, okay? So we're going to find out who is the subject matter expert at countries of the world. Okay, who had, and also if you watch our videos online, if you're streaming them, you're not allowed to participate right now. So it's no, I know right now the people in San Francisco, they have all the answers because we played this game last week, but we played it with animals. So right now they're like reading off, oh, I got dog, cat, like no, see, it's countries. Who has 5 countries? Anybody have 5 countries? Awesome. Keep your hands up if you have 6 countries, 7 countries, 8 countries, 9 countries, 10 countries, 11 countries, 12 countries, 13, 14, 2 with 14, 15. You have 16? 6. Oh, that's okay. All right. Okay, how many do you have, James?
I have 17.
He has 17. James is the country subject matter expert in our group of technical support for countries. Anybody calls us about a country, James has the information. James, really fast, read off your countries.
Cambodia, U.S., Canada, Afghanistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South America, sorry, that's not a country actually, so Bolivia, Russia, Azerbaijan, China, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Australia, and then I was just, now I'm not going to take yours, but I was just about to go into all the little ones right around Vietnam.
2 observations. 1, his Uncle Sam paid for him to visit all these countries.
Yeah.
And 2, South America still is not a country, everybody. Okay, so did anybody have a country that James did not list? Anna? Anna? Just name one.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. Anybody else?
Israel,
Israel.
Brazil,
Belize. We can go through the whole room, but basically what we're getting is now we have a logic flaw. Now we have, do we need to bring more people in? It's fun. Come on in, come on in. Everybody, let's talk real quick.
Come on.
Thank you for letting me be here. Awesome. So this is where we run into a logic flaw a lot of times with knowledge, is we think whoever knows the most is the knowledge expert. So when we're doing any kind of processes, we're writing up articles, they've got to flow through and they've got a stovepipe right at that person. But Anna and everybody, excuse me, I don't know everyone's names, but everybody had different ones. And so the truth is that we think knowledge is neat and tidy, just like we want, you know, in the computer racks, everything to be cabled just nice, and in the storage areas where we keep extra laptops, they've got to be pristine, okay? But knowledge is not, because knowledge comes from so many different places. If you look up here, I'm willing to bet you're going to recognize in your own shop, in your own work environment, where knowledge comes from your suppliers, okay, your vendors. They give you information, or you look it up. Your customers. I know that everybody's got customers who know more about the applications and the systems than you do, right? Because they've been working that system for a few decades, and they know it really well. They come from the industry. It comes from Microsoft. It comes from white papers. It comes from Google. It comes from everywhere.
Google is your
Exactly. Google is your friend. Unless you have proprietary software built by your company 3 decades ago that you're trying to hold on to the last 2 programmers so they won't retire.
Or unless you
Allegedly.
have a network issue where, for some reason, your brand new network application has been spamming Google.
Things not to do.
And it
We've all
got
learned
shut
that.
off.
Knowledge is messy. So here you see it piled up. The thing is, though, with processes, you can make it work. All right? So this is the new 80-20 rule. We've all heard the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your users have 80% of the problem, 20% innovation, 80% of the blah, 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 blah. So this is a survey that came out last year, a study from quite a few different companies. And up here at the top, you can see 80% of our time in support is spent just trying to diagnose it, troubleshoot, find the answer, and 20% of the time, it's found in the knowledge base. Those are good ones, but really, these are the numbers that I like, is the bottom 2, okay? The time it takes to create, publish, and share a new solution. Anybody in here had, at their work, roll out some new software or hardware this year, 2014? And did it maybe take like, 3 months before any problems manifested themselves? Got some laughing because the answer is it happens the next day, right?
No, actually, some of them started showing up as soon as we started setting up VPNs.
There you go. There you go. So what we get is when support, we get this immediate spike, and then it trails off, and you got this long tail over here.
And then you have equipment failures 1 year later.
There you go. So this is a problem. If the average time to publish an article, because we're routing them all through James, is a month, how are we going to handle the first minutes, hours, days? It's not going to happen. Now, this is pretty shocking. Fortune 2000 companies who measure whether when we give information to our analysts, to our engineers, to our network folks, we give it to our customers, whether it actually solves the problem. 1%. It's pretty bad. If you don't know if you're in the Fortune 2000 or not, I always try and look up. When I was at Delta Dental, I knew that if we were a publicly traded company, we'd be 380 something. So if you can look it up and you say, hey, number 2000, what was their gross revenue last year? How much did my company make? Oh, I'm in the Fortune 2000 if we were public. So it can kind of give you an idea. Regardless of that, if you actually measure it, you're doing better than the 1%ers, and that's kind of hard to say these days. All right, so what is knowledge-centered support? Let's talk about this for a few minutes. What is it, and why should we be invested in it? Why does it matter to me? I'm in technology. I'm a student, and I'm going to go into technology. Why would it help me personally? Okay, so here it is. Does anybody have endless staffing or budget resources? Does anybody here,
Besides the military?
besides the military, because their pay scale is not really what I like anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I'm searching every presentation for a company that just has unlimited money and resources. I want to apply there, to work there. Here's the problem. We're required to do more and more without being able to raise our resources, hire more people, staff, okay? So it was created by, I said the consortium, it's actually the Consortium for Service Innovation. And it was started in 1992, and this is an association of a lot of companies like Hewlett-Packard. Now, put yourself back in 1992, BlackBerry is one of them, VeriSign at the time, Compaq, Novell, and they created, many companies created this list of best practices. And it's evolved for 22 years. The latest one, I show you a little bit here, it's kind of staggering. I think it's about 180 pages. So if you try and download it, just be prepared. You're going to be printing a lot, all right, if you want to print it. Otherwise, it's just not casual reading. But this is the authoritative Bible, if you will, for knowledge-centered support, for best practices for knowledge management. This is an ongoing, living, breathing thing. The consortium meets several times a year. If you, and I'll just give you one of the resources now. How many people have a LinkedIn account? Okay, how many people after this meeting are going to get a LinkedIn account? Thank you. Okay, good, good. So if you're on LinkedIn, okay, there is a KCS group, and it's a really good group. So like everything on the LinkedIn groups, it's free to join, and they have good discussions on there. And people go out there and they say, hey, I'm looking for a tool. This is what I use today. What do you have? And other people will respond with, this is what we've experienced, this is what we've done. And they try to keep it very vendor neutral, okay? So it's a good group. The Consortium for Service Innovation, my last company participated heavily in this. They continue to evolve KCS over time. And you'll see big names that are out there. For instance, HDI, Rick Joslin works for HDI, lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he was the biggest knowledge trainer for HDI. He now is over all of the training for HDI, and he is putting out quite a bit of knowledge courses for us. He helped author this book. His name is on it, so he really knows what he's talking about. You can leave after this. This is the most important slide here. Okay, what are the key points of knowledge-centered support? All right, 1, create content as you're working, in the flow. 2, evolve it based on demand, or as I like to call it, things don't need to be perfect. 3, all of us know more than one of us does, crowdsourcing. And 4, reward people. Make it, incentivize them. Recognize them. It's good. Things tend to work out a lot better when you're recognizing people. All right, so here's our first one. This is what I used to try and do, and many companies do, is, Lovina, where do you work? PG&E? All right, I need you to, every Friday at 3 o'clock, author, create an article for all the issues you had for the week. So, but you can't do it during the week. You can't do it because we don't have time. You've got to do support then. So you got to do it at 3 on Fridays, unless we're still swamped, things are happening, because we did roll out something on Thursday night because somebody had the bright idea that, well, all this spike in calls happens on Monday night after rolled after the weekend. So let's just move it to Thursday night. Then we won't have a spike on Monday. So, which actually happens in companies. And so Friday we're swamped. And just regular work's catching up to, just catching up with the regular work and all the projects you're assigned to. So it never happens. You've got to have PG&E, by the way. Knowledge-based admin. Were you ever on manager, and then on average 30 days later it'll get published. You want authored in the flow. So here's where, it doesn't matter what your tool is, you've got to integrate it. You've got to make it so it's that one click, being able to say, okay, I wrote everything out in my ticket, resolved or not, I'm going to click the button to create an article. It's going to create an article. It's going to be out there. All right, so has anybody rafted the South Fork of the American River? This is actually Middle Fork. Anybody rafted either one of them?
No, but I've been on the Snake River.
Snake, same thing. So when you're going through the tunnel chute here or any of the whitewater, you don't really have time to say, hey, and tie down the cooler, for our lunch. Okay, things have to be intuitive. Things have to work. Okay, things have to really go. So you've got to burst author in the flow is what we call it. Make it intuitive. Now here's where I have to plug tool usage, not a specific tool, but you can have all the processes in the world, but if you don't have your tools and you haven't engineered your tools to handshake, your people still aren't going to do it. It's got to be easy to do, okay? I'm just going to say that over and over again. The second one, and this was really hard for me to embrace, you only edit what you need. Is anyone here, this is a trusted environment, is anyone here a perfectionist? You want things to just be lined up? Well, the perfect is the enemy of the good. So we have things happen. Bill is working at Adventist. he's got an issue, gets escalated to him, he resolves it, and it never happens again. Let's not go back to that article and make it pretty. Let's not worry about whether it truly contains all the information for it, because it was one and bye-bye. We never see that problem again. But on the other hand, Randy has an issue come in on her team. Her team documents it because it's brand new. Remember, we rolled out something on Thursday night. Comes in, they document it, they put it out there, and then Bill, he has the same issue. He searches for it, comes up, it's a little different. So he adds on to the documentation. He evolves it because it's a hot item, and we keep getting those as it spikes up and it trails off, we're done. So you really only put your energy where you need to. This is hard a lot of times. If you have a company culture that wants everything to be precise, anything that could happen gets documented, it's really hard. So it requires a huge cultural shift here. The good news is it takes time that you normally are, I'm going to say it, wasting on items that you don't need to, and you put your energy where they need to go, and hot items are immediately available. Again,
What do you mean by hot items?
so let's say that we roll out a new patch to our company, right? Our company has laptops, desktops, smartphones, tablets, and we roll out some type of security patch for it.
So those are the hot items, the items that the patch is fixing.
If they cause problems, they are. So let's say that it causes a lot of problems, and we get flooded. We get 1,000 calls tomorrow on Friday. That's a hot item. Let's say that we test and roll out something next Tuesday, and we get 20 calls. It's not as hot an item, but still, if we get 20 calls, we're going to document it and keep evolving that over that day, as compared to the one that came in. I think the bill had. They only got one call over. Okay, so anything that's hitting you guys, it's causing you to work. That's what it is. It's repetitive. You're having the issue. Nick's having the issue. Dan's having the issue. You know, it's hot right now. You'll know it when your team, everyone, go into your weekly staff meeting, or if you have a daily roundup, and everyone's complaining about it. That's how you know it's a hot item. Okay, because everyone's had to solve this over and over again.
So for example, at Apple would be the iPhone 5S is coming out, and that's getting everybody at Apple crazy because they know they're gonna have to.
Yes, and when Apple decided in which release it was that they would
I don't have Apple, so I don't know anything about it.
not have the maps.
Cisco now.
Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Apple Maps.
Yeah. So Google Maps all of a sudden ceased to function as you updated your phone, and so that became a hot item, and the message boards lit up, and people were complaining because I'm used to Google Maps, it's not working. Okay, so not necessarily the rollout of a product that can trigger it, but the hot item that we're talking about for this specifically is whatever it triggers that causes more work than you would anticipate.
I understand.
Does that make sense more?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that is also a hot item from a business standpoint of, hey, we got a new hot item we're rolling out, okay? And ideally, how many people are familiar with ITIL, I-T-I-L? How many people have a certification on ITIL? Awesome. If you don't have it, HDI offers them. Okay, you can get a certification from them. There's a lot of people out there offering them. I got mine actually through HP a long time ago, or Pink Elephant, I can't remember who. And so with ITIL, which is another set of best practices, right, you're going to be talking to each other. So development or the server team or whoever is going to be saying, White, we're rolling something out next Friday, a week from now. We're going to have a meeting on Monday to lock it down. Can your team come to the meeting? We'll talk about it. And you guys will handshake and they'll say, hey, here's the hot items that we know about. Here's the known bugs, okay? But if they don't and it just rolls out, then you're really, really needing some type of support structure and a knowledge structure like KCS, Knowledge Center Support. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I
Ask.
got a picture of it now.
Awesome. You're a
So
student, right?
iPhone, yeah, so the iPhone would be like more, the iPhone's coming out, iPhone 5S, that's a marketing hot item. The problem it's causing is going to be the hot item.
Yes. So when Apple rolled out new hardware, iPhone 5, 5S, 5C, 5X, LT, BLT, whatever. They caught, we get calls. Apple will get calls. The stores will get calls in all facets. So yeah, you nailed it exactly. Yes.
Preventative corrections. One of the things that I find myself wasting time on our Linux service is that there'll be one problem, and it'll show up a lot, but then they'll say, okay, well, we want to apply this fix to every single one of our servers that are utilizing that particular program. The thing is that it doesn't crop up all the time. It would be, in my opinion anyways, it's more cost effective for me to fix it as it comes rather than do a preemptive fix on everything. Because I do a preemptive fix, that's like damn near a whole week of me logging in each server. So, what is a potential middle ground on that? You know, using your knowledge base, you have the fix for it. Is it more efficient to fix it as it comes in and just allow it to dribble in and every time it pops up, fix it? Or is it better to do a preemptive fix?
It depends on your company and a lot of factors. So it would probably take a few hours for us to talk and for you to give me all the information, me to ask all the questions to say, well, this is what I can see you doing A or B. I don't have a quick answer for that.
So there's not like an average
No.
thought.
And anyone who says you should do this is wrong. Because it's going to depend on your company. No, not at all. Nick, thanks for coming by. Let's give Nick a hand. Somebody else will come in because of it. So there's not an answer. But with Knowledge Center support, what will happen is when that first issue happens, you're able to create that that article and make it available so that it's usable and searchable. Okay, so we haven't really got to the searching of it yet. Does that help, James?
Yeah, because I'm the one that's usually the one that documents all this stuff. Because there really wasn't any documentation.
Good.
And it's just very hard to, because none of it's searchable just yet.
So we haven't really talked about the searchability of it, but that is important. Is that, again, if your tool won't search for it, doesn't matter if all of us are just putting stuff in there, it's not going to work. Oh, animals, sorry, I didn't change that up. So we've already gone through a bunch of them that we've had, so we're good. But here is the third part is, collectively, we know more than just any one person, and that's the case. We run into some problems, I'll touch on this in a minute, with rewarding people. Actually, let's just go to it right now. Reward and recognize. So bonus points for whoever can name this team that's celebrating.
FC Barcelona.
Yes, Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
So winning again. Reward and recognize. So I know this probably doesn't happen in your organizations, but you have somebody who's been there a while and they know a lot. And you can turn to them and they'll have the answer, but they don't want to document the answer or train other people all the time, because if they do, then why do we need them? I know you guys haven't run into it. It only happens once in a while. It just happens in every company I've ever been in.
What was I just talking about?
Yeah.
So you want to reward people, and this is KCS really builds a system of rewards in an environment that you foster that. You recognize people for what they do. There's a whole bunch. We'll talk about different types of rewards. Yes, go ahead.
So
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Jesse.
Jesse. Yes, go ahead, Jesse.
KCS, you're talking about it like it's more of a company, or is it a process? Is it? I know what it is. I know what it does. What's its purpose? But I'm just curious. Is it a company?
It's a set of best practices that are open source. Anybody can use them freely, and we want everybody to use them. Those of us who use KCS, so I don't own KCS. I don't.
I could use
sell
KCS if I Google it.
Yep. In fact, I'm going to give you some links, which you can go. You can Google I would Google Knowledge Centered Support, because the KCS acronym, there's a lot of different things that come up to KCS.
Right.
You have to sift through them.
Okay.
Knowledge Centered Support, it'll take you to the Consortium for Service Innovation, where you can download, or now they've got it all very interactive, where you can just look at specific ones. You can read it on your smartphone, your tablet. I have printed off the whole thing before to mark up, okay? And we've had a book club before where we would study it, and really get into it. And no, doesn't sound appealing. Okay.
So KCS is
it's a
around
set
the
of
world type
process.
thing. It's a process that people use around the world, or just
Yes, set of processes.
Okay.
It is biggest where we have complex technical issues. So, the Jelly Belly factory, the actual selling of the Jelly Bellies and manufacturing of them, will have less than the IT within the Jelly Belly. They will use it more, okay? So at HP, they're heavy into KCS. Symantec, they're heavy into KCS. McAfee, if they use Riverbed technology or Juniper Networks, they're heavy into KCS. Apple is heavy into KCS. BlackBerry, the list goes on. Bank of America uses KCS on the IT side, but not in the call centers, because the call centers, there's not a lot to document. People call in, they got a problem with their balance, or this check didn't clear. I mean, there's a finite number of things.
Okay.
But in the technical side, where they've got, I don't have the number of tens of thousands of employees, that's where they use KCS to deal with all the things that are actually very common across our industry. Does that help?
I understand.
Excellent. So, we've got to make it fun. We've got to make it so that people want to do it. Because otherwise, you've got people who just kind of cling to things over here, and they don't want to share. I'm going to give you a couple examples. So, there's a programmer named Steve, and Steve was a product of Santa Cruz and Berkeley. So if those two have a child, that's what you get. Long hair, tie-dye shirts every day, Grateful Dead, and an awesome programmer. Steve, I mean, he would just lock himself in a cube and he would come up with it. And you would think that this is the kind of person that doesn't really want to share, because it's all mine. Because that's what happens a lot of times. No! In this company, Steve, and I actually know Steve, I can find his number and call him if we want to. He actually was the #1 contributor to their knowledge articles because they built this culture of rewarding them and rewarding people for editing and using articles and creating. And there was none of this, okay, if I give away my information, I'm not valuable. So they built a whole culture around this. And that is the important
You're
thing.
talking about the castle theory. Like, this is my castle, and I have to build up these walls to keep other people from my knowledge.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, and so it needs to be sharing. And this is not unique to any one company. Everybody's got the same issue.
What was
Jesse.
Never mind, I got it. The mine versus hive, I had to think about it for a second. I got it.
Oh, yeah, so just, hey, it's all mine versus a hive mentality. Okay, insects that really work together, they communicate kind of telepathically. We'll use technology instead of the whole thought thing, but it's okay. If you can do that, I'm down with it. All right, so here's why KCS works. So this comes out of the Consortium for Service Innovation, this group of companies that continues to meet and continues to develop it. They survey their member companies. So these are not vendors. This is HP, the actual support people, not HP trying to sell me hardware or software. This is what they come up with inside their companies. On average, when you fully go to KCS, this is what you get. And we see it time after time. Now, if this does not interest you, you may also leave, take this piece on the way out. But this is interesting to me because we're not getting more resources at all. Yes, you have a question back here.
Yeah, does KCS, does that just revolve around solutions, or does it also include procedures, process?
All.
I was going to say, it is procedures process.
KCS is a process to come up with your solutions and share them.
And also proceed, like, you got your solutions over here, your procedures, this is different. Right?
Yes, so within the company, hey, how do I do this? So it's been mostly IT. Like if this is the pie right here, this much of the pie has been IT for KCS. But this little part over here is where it's branching out. And HR and training are starting to use it in companies. So when people go out to look on their portal and say, hey, I'm an employee of this company, I don't want to call HR, so let me just look this up, and I can't find it, KCS is making that searchable. Okay, you have a tool involved. You can't just, you're not going to be able to make it with just to throw it out there in a file share and hopefully people can search it. I mean, you have to have a tool also. And there's many, many tools that are really good out there. There's on-premise tools, there's cloud tools. I mean, there's a lot of options for any company out there today. So being able to search and say, what's my process to cash out my sick leave? I got a new hire coming on board. They need a visa. How do I get the visa? I mean, all that information from HR. You have a typical 5,000 person company, and they've got 30 people in HR. So getting all that knowledge from here.
But wanted the students to know that tonight we have an alumni symposium where graduates of Hill College have come to tell their story and where they're working at currently. They are currently in the student lounge, and we will be serving refreshments.
Oh,
So,
you got competition!
Bring people with you.
Yeah, I'm getting more pieces.
Are they serving dessert? Is that Zoom? Are we talking about?
I don't know, actually.
Hello, Mr. Man? I don't know.
This is
Okay, yes, please.
intermission.
So these numbers, I'm not gonna read them off, but they're very interesting to me as a former service desk manager and in IT support. So I'm hoping they're interesting to you as well, okay? And down here, these are very important to me also, because if you have the tools that work, people like it. When it's that one click, hey, I already documented everything, boom, click, it's got the article. Oh, I need to edit it, click, bring it up. It makes people very happy, okay? Also, there's less frustration. Keep having the same issues. Because, I'm just gonna skip down to, well, here, we'll go real quick. Case deflection, self-service, call what you want. Who here has an Apple product?
Yeah,
iPhone, iPad, iMac, raise your hand. Again, it has to be above the head. Okay. Apple, and I'll show you a screenshot later on, has one of the best instances of KCS and of knowledge out there. And actually, my company I was at for 2 years, we did that. And I'll tell you later what the tools if you want to know, because I'm not selling a tool. But I'll tell you which one it is if you're interested. So, case deflection, really important. Same for Droid. If you're on BlackBerry, who's on BlackBerry? Anybody have BlackBerry still? Are they? They're still there, right? I have to ask. Okay. All right. It doesn't matter who it is, but you can get this, okay? And every time we Google something, we're trying to do self-service, okay? And then down here, this is important for ITIL, problem management. Those repetitive issues, by having KCS full on, right? I'm not saying, hey, boss approved it, we can start KCS by next Monday, we'll be able to do this. No, I mean, full on, you're going. You're able to actually come up with what the repetitive issues are, and you're able to solve them. Because it is hard doing
And that's what I'm
traffic
talking
system.
about, preventative fix, correct? When you identify something, and then if you have a way to do it automatedly, or with automation, then you can get that
Somewhat.
10% reduction, right?
KCS uses two things. One, it's two loops, okay? There's the first loop is an issue comes out, Anna documents it, she puts into knowledge solution, James edits it because it comes to him, Dwight edits it, Mike edits it. This happens. There's a second loop where you go and you find the repetitive issues and then you use those to root it out. So I have a hard time saying proactive because it's already happened. The issue is happening. But at the same time, I see where you're coming from. So let's say yes.
Okay. Conditional yes, how about that?
Conditional yes, like Vinny said, conditionally yes.
So, you might get to this later, so I'm going to say
Oh, we only have 15 minutes. I don't know if I'll get to it or not, so say it now.
In looking at KCS several times, it makes a lot of sense for really large companies because the volume that you're dealing with, but how do you integrate it? Maybe we can talk offline, into smaller groups where you don't have so many people putting the information and updating it.
Like how many people in theory? Your friend? Your friend? How many?
My friends say they manage a group of 15 people.
Okay. That's great.
My field engineer group's full.
Do people take vacation? They're out sick? There's ever any turnover?
Well, yeah, obviously. And that's where I run into the problems that all that knowledge base is lost when you lose somebody. Actually, what happened 6 months ago that caused me to get hired was someone died.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Along those lines, has anyone heard of Grade 2K? Grade 2K, like my hair going?
I've heard of Grace.
So the boomers are starting to retire. And this is a big deal because that knowledge walks out the door. At Delta, we had 2 programmers that we kept paying extra and try and keep them there. And these guys were done. They worked for 40 years. They wanted to go out the door, retire, go do whatever they were going to do. All right? Because we needed that knowledge until they could get it transferred. So KCS is important right now for the next 5-10 years. Every day, I don't know how many it goes, like 15,000 boomers walk out the door. I mean, they're done. Recession or no, they're done. So it can be used everywhere. I would say if you have like a one-person shop, well, you need it for some type of disaster recovery, right? But yes, it can be used everywhere is a short answer. And we can talk afterwards, okay? If you want to go out on the consortium website, you'll get the name of the company, but I try and keep things pretty agnostic, all right? But this is one of the companies that participates in the KCS symposiums, and they develop it, all right? And they're a telecom company, which rhymes with Samaya. And so I was very impressed because their engineers and we know engineers don't like to document, published this many in 6 months. And then they're very technical, and they came up with millisecond searches. They came up with, okay, here's what's happening. So really impressive. All right, let's talk really quick about gamification. How many people here have a Yelp account? How many people checked in? Wait, only 2? All right, so now we have to cancel cable, watch Orange is the New Black, get a Yelp account. How many people know what Yelp is? How many people have looked up a restaurant or business on Yelp? All right.
I don't trust the reviews.
You and I got to talk, James. I got some help for you. All right, so you can check in on Yelp. Did anybody check in here today?
Yeah, I did Foursquare.
No, but my wife is the Duchess of some cupcake shop. If you check in a lot, you become the Duchess.
Yes. There's an app. It's a fun app. And here, for people who are paranoid about privacy, go create, if you really want to, you go buy a laptop for cash off of Craigslist, then use that to create a new ID. Like the guy in Ohio that did it for an art project, you guys have read about that, created a whole new ID, including a driver's license he got by mail, all this stuff, and then he went public with it and said, okay, I'm stopping now, it's creepy. But yeah, Yelp has an app, okay, for all smartphones, and you can go check in. So I'm going to check in here. I have a little addiction to it, okay? I do. Because if you check in enough to a company or an establishment, right, you become the Duke. So Heald College, I'm going to check in right now to Heald College. So you can be anonymous if you want to, you know, so that way people don't. I don't have it published on Facebook like Brandon just checked into Heald College, or better yet, Brandon just checked into Paris Airport. Please go rob his house while he's gone. Okay? I don't do that. They're not linked up. Okay, so if I check in enough times, then what happens is I become the Duke. Somebody mislabeled the U.S. Post Office over here in Roseville. I keep checking into it when I drive by it because I want to become the Duke of the United States. That's what it says. It's the United States. All right, and it's fun. I don't know. It's just kind of addictive to it. Now, to be fair, if you use Yelp enough, I don't know how Foursquare. Who checked in? Dwight on Foursquare? James? Okay, I don't know how Foursquare does, but Yelp, if you check into places, you write enough reviews, you become an elite. And to be honest, you get free food and drink. So there are some tangible things out there. Anybody use Reddit? Wait, is this a Reddit one? No, I think it is. I think it's their old one though.
Yeah.
This is from a present. I've given these presentations over the last 2+ years, and so some of the things haven't been updated. My apologies on that. So has anybody use Reddit? Pretty cool. A couple of them. Has anyone not heard of Reddit? Raise your hand proudly in the air. All right. I know I have a challenge.
Cancel cable.
Is to look up Reddit. There's a lot of junk on it, but at the same time, I was having problems with my laptop and just not getting, or my little notebook, not getting answers. So I went on Reddit and got the answers. Because there's technical threads out there too, okay? Just like Twitter, a lot of junk out there, but I needed to know some specific news that was happening in a specific part of the world, and I got it quickly that way. All right, so this is what gamification is. It's using game design techniques to get people to do what you want them to do. And yes, it's to get people to do their damn job. I'm sorry, Internet, FCC, but it is. Now, I know that people say, well, they get a paycheck, don't they?
Yeah, it's not enough.
They do. So if I can get somebody to make, so let's say somebody's quote is 10 widgets a day, but I can incent them to do 12 widgets a day through something which is very simple, that makes my life a lot easier. It really does. I'm going to go through at a high clip because we only have a few minutes left, but these are things that are important. I'm serious. It's this is a low side. It may be larger, but I always try and take some. I like my numbers to be very substantial. If somebody says, well, it's $120 billion a year industry, I'm going with 65 because that's what a lot of people say it is right now, analysts in the industry. We got these old ones now from like a year or two ago. But here, I'm just going to go forward at a high clip. The average age of gamers is 37.
Yep.
So I know people tend to say, oh, it's for kids. Gaming's for kids, man. That's for teenagers and 21-year-olds.
Started with that.
Yeah, it did. It started. Did anybody recognize this?
Sorry.
All right, yes. You're my people. I know you guys played Tron and saw the new Tron Legacy. I love it. And Xbox Connect. Come on, Jesse. Come on.
PlayStation.
So 37. These people, these gamers, that's our frontline analysts and our desktop technicians and our server engineers. and in many cases, the CIO of your company or your agency. The 30, that's average. That's not top. That's average. Quick math class, that means it's right in the middle. That means there's people in their 40s and 50s who stay up all night playing World of Warcraft. This is how big it is. 65% of gamers are playing with other people in person. Okay, meaning for this survey, live. Okay, you're connected up. And then 77% on video games. Anybody know EVE Online, the game?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big multiplayer game. It's
Massive multiplier online game.
Yeah, not as big as World of Warcraft. They still statistically are bigger, but this is how big they are. They had an ongoing huge battle. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands of people that would fight these space battles, and one faction, so we're talking about hundreds and thousands and maybe more of people, they together, we're this faction here, we're faction A, and this is the other faction over here, B and C and D, and they fight. Well, you can pay the game to set up like a cloaking area.
Okay.
So you actually, with real money, you know, some type of Visa, debit, automatic transfer, PayPal, you pay, sets up a cloaking area, and they stage all their ships there. They go there. This takes weeks, months. Something happened, and the payment did not get made.
Uh-oh!
Could have been declined for funds, could have been the guy forgot. So the code went, oh, no payment, it's the first of the month. Makes that Millennium Falcon sound. And all of a sudden, it wasn't shielded anymore, and these other people, faction B and C, hey! And so, come on! So online, you know, just like on Big Bang Theory, Roger 1 to all spacecraft, please come in, right? And they go in, and they have this huge battle, and they're wiping them out. And it's like, oh yeah, whatever. So these spaceships that they built up, it cost money to build them. You pay real money to build them. $3,000 a spaceship. So me and Jose and Pernell, we built up, allegedly, we don't really play. We built up these spaceships, and each of us had one, and we got massacred because the payment got, failed. End result is like $500 million in real money got wiped away over, I think it's a 19, 20-hour period. So we're talking about real money happens here, okay? All right, so if anybody, Jesse, who else is a student here? Get into programming, because that's where the money is, all right? We do gamify. I know we talked before, we started about March Madness and the brackets. People do games all the time. Football season, hockey season, we do games all the time. Here it is, in a nutshell, gaming concept. You got to make it easy. It's got to be understandable. It's got to be something somebody jumps in right away, boom. One of the key things of gaming is make it so you can fail and you keep failing forward. I know everybody here has played some type of smartphone game, right? Angry Birds, Candy Crush Saga, give it up. I know you have, right? Oh, there you go. And you fail, you do things, but it makes you go forward. Okay? It doesn't make you go, I'm not going to make it. Well, it does do that too. All right? And you get quick rewards, okay? Nothing like, hey, I know it's been a good year, so here's your reward, here's your badge. Finally, you played the game for a year, let's give you a badge now. No, it's instant rewards. Then it gets difficulter, more difficulterness. All right? Continuous challenges. So hopefully, and now, we're almost done. Hopefully you guys are now thinking, well, if we gamify our knowledge, then there'd be a challenge like, hey, in the month of April, who can do the most of this that we want them to do, right? So you're making this like short-term challenge, all right? In San Francisco, at the legislature, I think, at some place I was at the past couple weeks, somebody shared where their company had a game, and they challenged. This is an old school game. Punch in and punch out their time clock. And this is a company I used to work at in Southern California, private company, doesn't matter who it was. And the CEO on down punched in, even the CEO. Because when the top is doing it, more people will do it. Because if you punch in and out perfectly, including every break for a month, you got 2 tickets to whatever it was. Movie tickets or something, something. So basically, by doing your job, you got something else every single month. So yeah, the guy who worked in the warehouse got the parade by the CIO because they put up every day on boards who it was and say, sir, I got 2 tickets last month and you didn't. And the CIO took it in stride. CEO, excuse me. Because you know why? Setting a good example. Get your employees a little bit extra, okay? Badges. It's silly, but man, my brother's in Hong Kong right now, and he actually texted me when he was in the airport in LA. He's like, oh man, if I check in to the Hong Kong airport. I think I'm going to get the Global Traveler badge for Yelp. I mean, what's crazy about this? He was writing reviews in Spain because when he was with me there trying to get stuff done. All right, so here it is in a nutshell. You need to figure out what you're trying to do. Because, right, whatever we tell people we're going to measure them on, they're going to do it. So you need to figure out what it is. You need to make it easy to understand, easy to start. You need to reward and recognize. That's it. Let's go through it real quick. What do you want them to do? You want them to create articles. You got to think about what it is you want them to do. You don't want it to be, hey, whoever resolves the most tickets if you're trying to do a knowledge solution. You want it to be whoever creates the most articles, or everybody who creates this many articles, or everybody who searches every single time they have a ticket. You got to figure out what it is you want to do, okay? And this is weeks of workshops, okay? I don't have a pat answer because everybody's different. All right, you need to understand what is the leading and lagging behavior that you're going to have. Create the articles, eventually leads to increased first call resolution. Once you publish it out to your customers, leads to increased self-service, okay? So there's leading things, leading indicators, and lagging. And set your goals. Make it very easy. Once you get a knowledge solution in place, because you are going to need a tool. This doesn't work on paper at all. Okay? If you're like trying to schlep around binders, like, okay, I just updated it. I'm searching. It's in the Pennsylvania office. They're inner office. Okay? It has to be technical, okay, or it has to be digital.
4187.
Exactly. This is the first one. Linking it. So here I am, Jesse and I. First day, we're both on the job. We're desktop technicians. We're going out there. I don't know how to fix this, but the company gave me a tablet. I'm looking it up. Boom, there's the answer. We've got it so easy. All we do is link. Push that button, link. It does it right away. Me and Jesse both get a little badge pops up right there in our CRM system or our knowledge system. They should be integrated because it can be done. If you have a vendor who says they're not integrated, you say, I need to talk to a developer within your company because it can be. If it can't, and truly can't, you can get a different vendor. Okay? We get a little reward. Right away, it's easy. Well, then we go out next day or next week, we see one that, no article. So we write one up. Boom! Get a badge for that. So another article comes up. It's a little different on this machine. Edit it. Make it easy. Get them hooked. You got to get them right into the game.
Like do it on the first article, on the fifth article. On the
There you
25th
go.
article.
There's a whole pattern you can do there. There's a lot of companies out there. I mean, it's a huge industry, and we've only really scratched the surface for ticketing tools, knowledge solutions, for HR, for companies. Yeah, there's a whole way of doing that. Yes.
So with KCS, I haven't actually read through KCS, but
you've had like
you're saying,
50 minutes to read it. I don't.
You're saying that it favors having multiple people update one document. What if one of those resources is incorrect and then providing bad knowledge to your customer?
And that's
How do you
where
control that?
editing.
We're not going into it now because the KCS workshops generally like 3 or 4 days long, 8 hours a day. No lunches. You're locked in a room. But KCS provides a number of roles and functions. So I come in the company, and myself and Don Don's been in the company. I'm new. I'll be a KCS candidate. They put me through a little training, might be a 1 hour video. I watch it and go, okay, I'm a candidate for it. And then I come up, and after a while, Don's my supervisor. They've been there a couple weeks. Like, Brady, you're getting it. You're understanding it. Because when I author something, it just goes into a silo. Don gets alerted, and then if Don doesn't check it out in a day or two, Veldina's, I'm going to say your name for me. Veldina, I apologize. Veldina is, she gets a notice, okay? So after a couple weeks, Don says, Brandon, you're pretty good. You're now a candidate. And so Veldina actually promotes me in the system to candidate. And now I can author articles, but only people on my team can see them, or only internal to support can see them. And then, I'll skip forward. So Dawn, she's a publisher. She's allowed to actually review them and publish them so inside and outside can see them. And then Veldina, she's the domain expert for knowledge. So for the whole company, she's one of, say, 5 people who have complete authority over it. So it has different roles. And if you don't have as many people as need to be built out, you just alter it. So for instance, there's a LinkedIn discussion I was reading in the KCS group. It's actually kind of an old one, but I Googled and it came up with it, which the company said, hey, we only had like 15 people. And everybody came back, well, then don't do 5 roles, do 2. You need a publisher and a contributor, And so you don't let people just unfettered go out there until they've established that they know what they're doing. Does that answer your question?
It does, but when you get into bigger companies, and you're writing documents for services and products that other organizations provide, without vetting it out through a SME of that organization that actually provides that service, it's kind of hard to verify that that information they're providing is accurate.
True. So remember, we're only going to do the items that are hot, right? So I'm on the first line, Don's on the first line, and we have a new hot item comes in. So we author an article and we put it out there through some keywords, other things that can trigger, because you're the SME to go and look at it. Especially if we're not able to solve it, and so we're not going to author an article where we set it up. We say, hey, we tried to troubleshoot it. We're going to send it over to you because you're the SME. You're the second level.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to resolve it, and then you author the article. And now we know that it's good. So we use it. Nobody else uses it. The problem goes away. It just there. Eventually gets archived. But let's say issue continues to come in. Veldina uses it. Bill uses it. Everybody uses it. Then if there's anything different, they're going to get hold of you. Hey, Joshua, this article doesn't work, and so you're going to be fighting. So it is a loop. Do you see how that's working there? So that's a great question, and hopefully I gave you kind of a tip of the iceberg answer. Some real quick ideas is here, a point system, which most tools should have, and a bare bones is in there to say you go in and you say, well, this is what I want. We want 10 and 10. We want 1. Okay, you get points for discussion, you get points for different things. Yeah, I'm a big fan of naming names for the good. Okay, I was in Europe, so these names aren't updated yet. So recognize people internally, externally. When you get to customers, if you have ever been on any forums, customers get recognized. They get points, you know, so they become like, hey, this guy really knows what they're doing. Hey, this girl really knows what she's doing. Okay, recognize people, and they tend to do more. Incentives do work. Okay, not just the pat on the back, but actually displaying them. So when anybody goes onto the knowledge base, they say, hey, these are the top 5 people. They got it. But if they don't keep authoring and editing and linking and searching, somebody else is going to move up. Yeah. Guillermo, that's Bill's name in Spanish. Guillermo's going to move up. All right. So the reward discussion. The cheese stands alone. I seem to be like the only person in the world that says with, you got to give people tangible things sometimes. I'm a big believer in give them the $5 coffee card, you know, or give them lunch with the boss, or if they don't want to give them lunch without the boss, maybe they want that. All right, but having some type of tangible reward. A lot of studies out there. I don't know. A lot of people say no, can't do tangible rewards because over time it just fades. I feel like you need to mix it up.
I like the idea of the tangible rewards when the company does do it. However, one thing the company did not do was they failed to properly get the word out that the award was available. So the CEO said, hey, I want to give an award for the person that marked their time in EPM the most and had the most TFS published tickets. So all of their work on TFS was matched by the work accounted for in EPM. Except that nobody knew about it until the once a year Christmas party, and this guy did TFS or their EPM this much. You know, we're all going like, what? That was a competition?
Not a KCS problem, management problem.
Yeah.
So, real quick, social media. You ever are in a company? I can't say that we're all going to be in a company that are forever. So, if we transfer to a company that has this, or our department turns one of those things, it's kind of a quick overview of social media. It really depends on how your customers are using it. And we're going to go into self-service really brief. I'm going to go through it like 800 miles an hour. It's basically involving your customers, responding to them the same way, in the same manner. No, what's the word I'm looking for? The same vehicle. Say it again, Jesse.
I said tone, but I thought you.
No, the same vehicle. Okay, whatever their content on Twitter, you can try and make it available. There's lots of integration and things you can do. And then
Same format.
To incent people using social media to actually use your knowledge solution, posting these tips, posting videos, recognizing people. So if you have your company, or if you're in a place in the next 2 years, and we use Facebook for support. People contact us via Facebook, recognizing those top contributors that are the customers on Facebook. People tend to like that. All right. Self-service. Okay, here it is. Remember I said that 1 was the most important slide? This is the second most important slide. I'm not changing my story. Not a politician. This is it. Anybody's got to be able to submit an article easily. 1 button. 1 button submit. Not create an ID and log on to our site and then copy in these 10 fields, and then do all this. It's got to be easy. They can be approved or unapproved. Your question, Joshua. Approved or unapproved, essentially. Everybody can see it, nobody can see it, or everybody can see all the articles, but the ones that are approved are at the top. And it's stamped, approved, unapproved. So let's say that there's an article which is a year old, is approved, but an unapproved one is from yesterday. I might look at the yesterday one as well, because maybe it's more current. Things have happened. All right, a like button, a rating. This is a whole issue. This is a whole sub-industry over how to get people to tell you whether the articles were valid or not. Okay, and gamifying it for your customers. So here's Apple's, just in a nutshell. And my former company actually did build this one along with Apple's team and our team. And it is just heavily used. It's very easy to use. You can search, you can sign in if you want to. So over here, it's your top participants. Okay, people actually get rewarded because like all Mac users are fanatical about it. Here's your end results. Those numbers I gave you right here. And they all ultimately result in money. Okay, return on investment. Here's some resources for you guys. HDI offers the classes. I highly recommend it. And the consortium has kind of like a subunit called the Case Test Academy. It's all free. It's all, left cost, right, is free. Okay? But I think that left is the best place to get certification money-wise. Okay? If you need more help, you can go on my website. I actually have this link right here, which has this presentation.